All right. It being on or about 7 p.m., Foxboro Planning Board meeting will come to order. Good evening, everyone. I think we'll lead off with our planner's report, if that works for you, Paige.
Sure does. Let's see. It's a big one. I will note, I was thinking about it on the ride home today, that I think, normally in the summer, things slow down and they get quiet. And I think because we had our slowdown in, March, April, May, really, there's nothing quiet about this July and August, well, July so far. So it's been kind of fun. So housing. If you haven't noticed, there's been a little talk about housing lately. If anybody's watching at home, please go to the many websites we have. We have a town website. We have MAPC's housing. What I always do to be lazy is I Google MAPC Foxboro housing, and it brings me right to their page rather than worrying about it. So that's a little tip on you. I actually prepared for this. Come on. For cable, I have pictures of links. So if anybody wants, if they can zoom in, I don't know where the camera is, but I have links. Anyway, we are doing an open house on housing, and it's really important that the residents give their input right now. The planning board often hears about, well, we didn't know about this or we didn't know about that. We don't know how else to reach folks, really. Soon there will be something up on the Marilyn Rodman marquee reminding people, although it's really hard to figure out how to shorten the message to fit on a marquee. But again, we really are trying to outreach, and I know everybody has a lot more fun things to do than talk about housing right now, including me, but let's just get it done. We're almost there, and then we can get this plan wrapped up, and then we get into the fun stuff, which is implementation. So the virtual open house was supposed to close on yesterday, but since we went live last night with another video, we wanted to extend it. So we're going to give it another week or so folks could just go on there. If they can't do it online, there's a paper copy, so anybody can always call the planning office or email the planning office, and we will get you the information. I've even offered, if I have to hand deliver surveys and pick them up. I don't think I'll be inundated. Make me wrong, because I'll do it. Related to that, I wanted to bring up the accessory apartment bylaw. As you know, Barney came in sometime in May to talk about his draft, and I've actually been sitting on it. When we left that meeting, the suggestion was to do a frequently asked questions type document to go along with the very dry zoning change. And Barney, of course, did it right away. And I just was so busy with outdoor dining and all this that I haven't really had a chance to get to it. But it's finally time. So I did provide a copy on the back of your planner's report of that information. So I wondered if you guys would mind if I started circulating this we have a housing coalition group that does some advocacy work. They're very interested in talking about this topic. Ron can attest to that, and Gabby. I'd like to start sharing it with them and start getting that group sort of involved in talking about this subject and going from there. So you guys have any concerns about that? I mean, it's a public document anyway, but I just wanted to make sure you knew that we were going to move on that. And just, obviously everything will come back through here, but let's get folks talking about it. And if anybody has any comments on the frequently asked questions document, please let me know. I'd love input. Wayfinding, that's another effort that's been underway for a while, and we haven't seen progress yet, but it's actually been a lot of work behind the scenes. The Foxboro Common Business Collaborative has been doing some phenomenal work related to this. They've been working with Historical to get the final design of the banners that they're proposing to put up around the Common, and they have gotten that sign-off, and then on Tuesday night they got the Board of Selectmen sign-off, so that's exciting. What this is a banner program for around the Common. There's 23 poles, and the Foxboro Common Business Collaborative is going to be allowing sponsorship by businesses. It's $100 for a business, and it's a fundraising mechanism for them so they can reinvest it in the uptown area. So stay tuned. We are finalizing the design, finalizing the production of it, and along with the banners, now that we've got sort of the graphics approved by Historical and Selectmen, we're going to be going ahead and getting the signs. We had talked about directional signs and parking signs. We can finally move ahead with those as well. So we have collected some donations, and I think over the next few months, depending on fabrication and whatnot, I think we'll start to see some exciting, looks, and it'll start to feel a little more cohesive uptown. So that's been exciting. I forgot to note on my planner's report, we did, the EDC has appointed 3 new members as of last week. We had two openings, and we had 3 fabulous candidates, so the group talked, and then we realized we actually have the ability to have 10 members on the EDC. We just, because of me, go down to 9, because I find it much easier to manage a quorum with 9 than it is with 10. But we didn't want to turn away great volunteers, and everybody brought something different to the table. So we do now have a full EDC, and I have a feeling we're going to be very active, so stay tuned for that exciting work. The Walnut Street Foxboro Housing Authority project is something I've been talking about forever. Now that the housing production plan is going to be wrapping up, we can start getting into implementation, and this is going to be one of them. I might have mentioned, I can't recall if I did, about the MassWorks grant, that we're not going after it this year. It's just we're not ready. In order to get a MassWorks grant, you need to really show that you're almost shovel-ready and that it's going to directly lead to housing units or other forms of economic development. We think that project will poise us perfectly for next year. So what we're going to do is be working with the Housing Authority, hopefully, and start coming up with a vision for that area, design for the site, and then going to RFP and getting ready to get a developer on board to do that. As you recall, we have to do it under a voluntary 40B process. The units would be either 60% or 30, affordable to those with 30 or 60% AMI. It's a true subsidized housing situation. But we are looking at ways to not just do like apartments, but actually do like townhomes or other forms of housing so that there's some variety. We've heard from seniors, they don't just want one type. So we're looking at trying to be creative. The planning board is in the driver's seat, and not the planning board, the town is in the driver's seat. So this is all up to us. And so stay tuned for that. It's on the fire station project. I might have the wrong dates here, apparently, but it looks like next week the folks appealing the project are going to be deposed. So at least we're starting to see some project. As we know, the COVID has kind of shut down all progress in the courts. We got a grant from through the federal government being administered by the state government. Fun. Luckily for us, Bellingham is going to be administering it, which means they do all the work. We really had to do very little, but we were fortunate they were willing to let us join in. We have 6 communities from Norfolk County, and we are going to, this grant will allow us to give $9,000 to the food pantry, and then $90,000 for small business loans, or not loans, grants, actual grants, they're not loans. These are income-based, and they're for micro businesses. That's for 5 or fewer employees. I've gotten a lot of emails on this, and I will just say that this is what was mandated. I mean, it was presented. We didn't make the proposal for the size of business. This was actually a funding mechanism put out for micro enterprises from the federal and the state government. So we really are only doing what they authorize. So that I hope they'll offer other grants for other size businesses, but for right now, for whatever reason, they went with the small businesses. It's going to take a little while. They need to get the program administrator up and running. None of us have done this before. Well, they've done CBDG grants, but none of us has done the COVID-related grants. So we're hoping that by September, we'll be taking applications and being able to help. But we're collecting also, we do have, and I'll have to get that up on the website, or I think we do have it on I can't remember now, the link to that. And so businesses that think they might be eligible, 5 or fewer, should just go on and enter your name and your email address, and then that way you're on our list, and we'll inform you when we have more information.
Stephanie from the Rockland Trust Bank has been promoting that on their website too.
Oh, great.
To get people to apply.
Oh, great. Yes, and that's one of the things with the EDC. We're going to work with them as well to try to get do some more outreach to make sure that all these small businesses do hear about it. And we don't have a great inventory for the EDC, so that's, I think, one of our projects is to get a better handle on who's got businesses in town and their contact information. So that's all I have.
Okay. So, being just past 7:05 p.m., we have a few action items. There's an A&R from Glenwood Avenue. Is that correct?
Excuse me. So you have a copy in your packets right after the planner's report. And this is, includes Lot 11A of the London Estate subdivision. They're taking out a piece of land, and then they are conveying it to the Caradonas, which are on Glenwood Avenue. It's a non-buildable lot that's going to be conveyed to another lot.
Okay. Any questions from anybody on the board about that? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then London Estates set the bond amount and the lot release request for Crocker Way. Thanks. So where are we on the London Estates thing?
We have a request for, set the bond for the second phase of London Estates as Crocker Way, the 4 lots that are off of Peterson. And Mr. Buckley submitted an estimate for what's left to be done in Phase 1, and then the estimate for Phase 2. I prepared a memo with the amounts and then what the contingency, 20% contingency would be. So my recommendation is that we hold, that we request that $99,884.40 as bond for the rest of Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the London Estates subdivision. They are also requesting the release of all 4 lots in that phase, in Phase 2.
Really, Gabby, though, isn't that's an additional 99,000, right?
Right, an
We're holding-
additional.
We're holding 380.
Okay.
Yes.
We have a map for London Estates or no?
Yeah, please.
Phase 2, what's
Yeah, Crocker's off Othlet, right?
I'm sorry, yeah, also it.
Okay.
Sorry. yeah.
No, it's okay. Usually I'm the one with the geographic issues.
Right. So the release will be pending the actual posting of the amount, is that the idea?
That's correct, yes.
Anybody else have any questions?
No.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the $99,884.40.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
One motion or two?
Well, I was gonna make it one motion. Gary jumped in. So let's just finish this
Sure.
motion and then we'll do the second one. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
And furthermore, to approve the release of the remaining 4 lots once the bond has been posted.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Getting your steps in.
And then, next item is Lakeview Pavilion, a bond release request.
Yes, we received a request to release the bond for Lakeview Pavilion, the reconstruction. The item that was left to do was the as-built plans, which had not been submitted. Mr. Buckley, his group prepared the as-built plans, and Norm, our inspector, reviewed them. There were a couple of inconsistencies with what was approved, but one of them was minor. The other one was the amount of handicap spaces or accessible spaces. The plan required 10 spaces, and the existing right now is 5. And looking at what the Architectural Access Board requires, there's a minimum of 6 spaces that are required for the number of parking spaces that exist right now. So Mr. Buckley and I spoke today, and the owners of Lakeview Pavilion are going to add a 6th parking space to the lot, so that they will be in compliance with the requirements of the ADA compliance.
So, and how much was left on their bond?
$5,000.
Okay. So are you asking us to vote, or are you asking us to wait till
I
the,
would like for you to vote. I can hold on to the release of the monies until the work is done. It's up to you.
okay. Anybody have any questions or anything?
No problem with that.
And I'll entertain a motion to release the Lakeview Pavilion bond pending the finishing of the last handicap.
So
space.
moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 50 Central Street, minor modification, request for finding.
Make it up again, right?
Good evening.
My name is Jeff Pina, and I'm the one that has recently signed a lease over at 50 Central Street. I'm looking to put in a nutritional smoothie and energizing tea bar. We have a couple of locations in Rhode Island, and we're looking to duplicate the success that we have there over at this property.
What's 50 Central Street?
Is it the corner?
Yes,
Yes,
it's
Bradley Child's building.
Oh, okay.
right there.
Thank you.
So, what are the modifications that you need?
I do have a couple of printouts that I made for you. Very small, but what we would be doing is we would be
Thank you.
creating a little bar very similar to this for people to sit at and enjoy their shakes and teas if they like. We'd be installing a 3-bay sink and just doing some minor electrical work for an ice machine and some blenders.
So the bar will be in the interior of the building, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So just to clarify, while you guys are reviewing, originally, Bill Caspera had suggested that this be done as a site plan, just because it's a change of use, you know. However, the problem is when we look at it, there's nothing to site plan. I mean, there's no, it's a building on a lot. So we are asking tonight that you sort of make a finding or agree that the site plan isn't required, if you feel that way. Otherwise, he'll have to go and get an engineering plan done, a survey, all that, come in, and, you know, you'd have to go through a lot of expenditures to get this going. So this is an effort to try to get that building that's been sitting vacant a while used. You know, we have 70 parking spaces here. We all know from the town hall being closed, there was ample parking around this area along, you know, these street, Liberty Street and all of there. So it's our belief that this use would not overtax the parking, and that a site plan would be a waste of his time and money. But we were looking for the planning board's thoughts on that.
So, I mean, just as please sit, you're welcome to sit. So, just as a general rule of thumb about this has been sort of like an open question on the retail on Central Street for many years about, okay, it was a laundromat, now it's gonna be a dry cleaner, whatever those things are. It's not that huge of a change, and it's all basically retail. And as long as I think as long as it fits the bill, which this clearly does, I mean, I personally do not have any issue with us doing a finding to waive site plan and allow this gentleman to proceed.
I have no concern.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Kevin. How long is your lease?
We have a 1-year lease with options for multiple years to follow.
Okay.
And you have other stores?
Yes, we have 4 other locations in Rhode Island. Our oldest store is in Smithfield, and it's going to be 5 years in August.
Okay, good.
Do you do boba tea, or is it a different kind of?
It's Herbalife Nutrition.
Okay.
And do you have designated spaces in that lot behind the building?
Yes, we do. The owners of the property also own Sal's and Mal's, and they told us about the parking situations and where there was parking that was available.
Sounds good.
So,
Make a motion that we waive the site plan on this submission.
need anything more than that? Is that good enough?
I think that'll cover it.
I'll second that. Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
Best of luck.
Looking forward to making an impact on this community.
Minutes. Are these new minutes that need to be,
John reviewed May 28th. I didn't get any comments back on June 11th. Did you not do those yet, John?
No, I have not done it. I think I gave you May
You
14th.
gave me the,
I gave it 2.
yeah, May 14th is here signed.
Okay,
May
so-
15th we signed, so
All
May
right.
28th needs to be approved now.
okay, so make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for the May 28th, 2020 meeting as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So John, even as a not full board member, they're working you to the bone?
Yep.
Hey, certain tasks do not get taken away.
Or delegated to me.
extinguish, eh?
Exactly.
I didn't read the job description well enough. It's my fault.
You didn't know we changed the associate member, the alternate member to do the minutes now too?
Yeah, I missed it. Yeah.
That was in fine print, John.
Yeah, you got to read the paperwork.
Yeah, Tracy wrote it, so.
And I'm in sales.
Okay, it being sometime past 7:15 PM, we have a public hearing, special permit, temporary parking lot renewal for 95 Washington Street for Starfox Realty Trust.
Yes, so this is a standard renewal. As you know, we used to do them every year. We don't have the applicant here. We figured it wasn't really necessary. So this is just a renewal of a parking lot for stadium events.
And whatever was submitted meets all the usual guidelines, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes,
This is Mr. Saig's lot, is that right?
it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Gabby will add more if there's anything more to say. 'Cause she's actually really the one who's in the know.
Anything you need to add, Gab?
Nope.
What is the actual address, though? I got 2 different numbers here, 94 or 95?
Yeah, it says this
It's
is.
both,
Oh, it is
right.
95.
95,
Oh, two
right?
different
It's
ones.
95.
Different lots.
I'm sorry, 2 different ones, okay.
Question, Gabby. When are those fees paid up front to the town upon issuance of the license?
Yeah, when they submit the application, that's when, our fee is paid.
No, I'm talking about the per space fees.
That we have nothing to do with that.
Selectmen.
That is done by the administration, by the Board of Selectmen's office.
Well, I did happen to kind of catch some of the EDC meeting a week and a half ago, and the issue came up about the prospect or the likelihood that lot owners would be coming back looking to turn in their licenses and whether those fees would be redeemable in some way.
Well, I don't really recall it that exact same way, but there was mention about apparently there's a bond payment due every year, so that was one thing.
That's a separate thing.
But yes, there has been discussion, but my understanding, and maybe the gentleman from the craft group, and the lady, could tell us, I believe the Board of Selectmen licenses were already paid up front. They're already done, so, and I don't, for this next year. Yeah, by July 1. So usually we would do this by June 30th, but because of the COVID, we had to delay it. But they could
there's-
certainly seek it. I didn't hear any organized effort, but I don't know that there's even mechanism to do that in town budgets very well. So I haven't heard any rumblings about that, but
And it's also a 3-year
Curious.
license, so,
Wouldn't be surprised.
I know, I wouldn't be
I mean, it's
surprised.
a
But
chunk of change.
but it would be the town's right to refuse a refund if one was requested.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, obviously, it's a financial decision for them. I don't know how much the fees even are and whatnot, but, you know, obviously to start over, I mean, for one, you hope this is only a one-year blip, and sort of
Yeah.
like throw the baby out with the bathwater. Obviously, it's a personal decision, but I haven't heard any rumblings about that.
So, unlike us, this is now a 3-year renewal for us,
Yeah,
but the licensing is annual, correct?
I believe so, right? The licensing is annual, yes. So as far as we know, it's going, I mean, there's still, some folks are still hoping for a season, you know, and some of those parking lots, I know they're still hoping, and they're, you know, while the craft group is offering free parking, you know, others are saying, well, you know, folks like, say, me, you know, I don't go inside a lot where I might get stuck in traffic, although we don't know what that would look like, so I would be more likely to even pay to park remotely, and I think they're counting on that. So I think a few are still hoping to collect some funds if there is a game, but we shall see.
Okay, getting back to the matter at hand.
Do you want a motion?
Yeah,
Or we have
please.
to close the public hearing?
Oh, that's right, we do need to close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing for lot 95 Washington Street, Starfox Realty Trust.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to grant the special permit for temporary parking lot renewal at 95 Washington Street for Starfox Realty Trust.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Following that, public hearing, special permit, temporary parking lot renewal, 94 Washington Street, BRH Park LLC. Pass that back down.
So this applicant is actually online, I believe, if he wants to, I don't know if he can get to, there he is. So this is also a standard renewal of a parking lot.
I think you're on mute.
We on or?
Yep, now we can hear you.
Okay.
Any changes?
No, our understanding, no changes. Can you confirm there's no changes to this application over prior years?
Yep, no changes.
That's right.
And is everything, does it meet all requirements?
Yes, right, Gabby?
Very good.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second, please?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion to grant the special permit for temporary parking lot renewal at 94 Washington Street for BRH Park LLC.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.
Thanks for your attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
7:25 PM, public hearing, special permit, temporary parking lot, 108 Washington Street, NPS LLC.
Hey, guys.
Welcome. Hello, how are you?
Or not.
What, you don't want to see us?
And also,
You're traveling light tonight, only 3 of you.
Really?
Also-
And I guess he wanted to, we needed me down there.
Okay,
So,
so is this,
this is 108 Washington, our lot B, the one over there back
okay,
behind.
so, and Lot A is the other one we'll get to?
Correct.
Okay. So,
Matt, you want to give 10 seconds on it?
Sure. Are we doing A or B first? I'm not sure which one we're on.
B.
B, all right. 108 Washington Street, otherwise known as Employee Lot A. I'm sorry, Employee Lot B. It's the lot that's behind Bass Pro and has a driveway connection heading down towards 140. Plans in front of you depict the configuration of the parking lot. No change, really no change at all to the operation. There's no physical modifications to the parking lot since it was previously approved. Relatively straightforward. We have, the intent at this point is to operate it the same way as we historically have.
Okay.
May I ask, there's been a question as to, and I don't know which lot or if it's both, that, remember the clarification issue? I know that when you use the thing, there was a question of whether it's for only major events, for all events, and my understanding is you want the permission to use both lots A and B for any event?
Question is just on Lot A.
Oh, it is? Okay, so not lot B?
No.
Got it.
Lot B is the one by Mom's, right? The old Mom's.
Correct.
Any questions, or, well, hold on one second, let me see, let's see if there's any comments here. From Pauline, since we have not any complaints about these lots not having the required number of porta-johns available, we will keep the requirements, still one porta-john for each lot, A and B, proper signage. From Jane Sears, the Concom looks fine to me, commission reviewed the original filing for these, I have no comments. Mr. Grace, from the police department, Gabby, no concerns, Chief Grace, that's it. Any other questions from any members of the board? I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now we have the public hearing special permit temporary parking lot for 119 Washington Street, NPS LLC.
So 119 Washington Street, also known as Employee Lot A, is the freestanding parking lot accessible from both 140 and Route 1. It's approximately 800 spaces in size. It was originally constructed in 2014 and expanded in 2017. The plans before you depict the configuration of the parking lot. They are two sets of plans, one from the 2014 original configuration and then the 2017 expansion produced by Bay Colony. Again, no anticipated change in how we're going to operate that parking lot. It's an employee-only parking lot to be used for any stadium event as deemed necessary.
And this is the one page that you said, was it used, so it's for any stadium event, not just major?
Yeah, our position has been all along, based on the prior approvals, that we have the ability to open it. Historically, we, as you all know, we haven't. We've only opened it for major stadium events. However, that was questioned in the past, so based on our interpretation of the approval and the way we've been operating it, it's our expectation that we could open it if needed, obviously in coordination and consultation with fire and police and state police, as needed, as operated under the guise of our traffic management plan.
And I would just suggest that in order to make it crystal clear, the board expressly states that, so that there's no room for interpretation moving forward. If the board determines that to be appropriate, then let's put that in the decision.
Was there any question about noise after hours with the residential neighbors?
There was to the gentleman, if you're facing it on 140 to the right in the greenhouse, but there was a beautiful fence put up. I don't know if you guys did that. It looks fabulous.
Was there ever any complaints that we know of?
I'm not aware of any complaints relative to noise. I know we had, early on with the original construction, there was a concern expressed from some lighting on the backside going in through the, and we put the cutoff shields around all the perimeter of the lights out there, so that was the only complaint that I've ever heard of.
I thought there was one about cars not leaving quick enough, people standing around talking and hanging out. Maybe I was mistaken. Okay.
I think that when we had the original discussion, the plan was they closed them within so many hours of the last employee bus coming back.
Correct. The expectation is that in all of our employee lots that, they get in the car and go home. The vast majority of them obviously do that. Some, if they leave early enough and there's still traffic on Route 1, they may choose to wait like anybody else would in the parking lots, but by the time they're leaving, they're ready to go home.
Well, and I know in the other lot that there was staggered exiting of employees. Do you do that at this lot as well?
Correct.
Okay.
Just one question. Is there access and egress from both Route 1 and Pierce Street in this lot? Yeah. Okay.
Any further questions?
None for me.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a-
Go ahead.
Make a motion to approve the special permit for temporary parking lot renewal at 119 Washington Street, NPS LLC.
And to make sure that the public understands that the availability of this lot is for any stadium event.
Yep.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good.
Thank you very much.
It's good seeing you guys.
Very good to see you all
too.
again.
You too.
You're not going to keep those, are you? No.
Good evening,
You guys are incredible. Look at your schedule.
Making good progress there, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I'm doing my best, I gotta beat an over-under tonight. Continued public, where are we? Yeah, 7:35 PM or sometime past. Continued public hearing, special permit, construction of a mixed-use project, retail, commercial, and residential units, 6 to 8 Centennial Street, 31 to 35 South Street, and 37 to 39 South Street from the Winterton Corporation.
Hello. Hey, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hello.
Let's see you hiding back there.
I was hiding outside.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
To begin with, I know that Paige has prepared a draft special permit decision for this evening. But before we do that, if there's anything that you'd like to discuss with us or add, or...
No, I reviewed what Paige came up with, and, I'm satisfied with the stuff that I've submitted to the board. I think, we worked through a number of comments at the last hearing, so I don't have anything else.
Okay, no changes that are germane since that last, other than ones that were requested from the last hearing, nothing?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may address one thing.
Please do.
Sorry. I brought this up at the 11th hour as I was writing the decision, or draft decision. I saw that there was a comment from a member of the Historical Commission, and I wanted to make sure that loop was closed. She had been asking, she or he?
She.
That's what I thought, okay. My eyes are bad, so I can see. Was asking about the balconies, and they're not true balconies because you don't want to have the appearance of storage and whatnot on the common. But there was a question of whether they could be more significant historically. I did send that over to the applicant just to get an answer, and I wanted to read the response because I thought it was a good response and made sense, but I think the board should address it. So the question was, for Building B, I understand and appreciate not wanting the balconies to become storage spaces. Would it be possible to consider a more historic-looking railing rather than wrought iron on the balconies, something akin to the railing at the old State House in Boston? So I looked that up and saw, and it looks almost like a heavy wood, thing. Actually, I think it's marble, but it looks almost like wood. So the architect responded in the following: the intent of the Juliet balconies is to add a larger amount of daylight into the units, sliding doors in lieu of windows, and an extension of the outdoors while, as noted in the question, not create an additional storage space. While the balconies add another layer of texture to the exterior materials/surfaces, they were not intended to be focal points. Creating an overly detailed railing, parentheses, balustrade, etc., similar to the old Boston State House or a more detailed Georgian style, close parens, would then require that all other elements be similarly detailed to create balance. The intent of the design, parentheses, and the wrought iron railings in a minimalist style, close parentheses, offers a more modern interpretation to the building while being sympathetic to the surrounding structures. So I thought the board should hear that and maybe have, talk about it so that the Historical Commission knows that this has been addressed.
Was that written, though, because I believe she reached out to me initially, and then I got in touch with Paige and Mr. Buckley, that she raised that question as an individual versus a member
Yes.
of historical.
True.
I think that's true.
And so I want to make note of that, because
Good point.
when I initially responded, I included both her chairman as well as Kevin on my facilitation of the response. So I don't believe this was a historical commission concern. This was an individual who happened to be a member of the historical commission.
Good point, good clarification. But I did not want to leave it unaddressed, just because sometimes we all know one member, Tracy, you'll talk for the plan, it's not for, but
Right.
you don't want to leave it on the table. So I
No,
just
absolutely. It was good to bring it up. I just wanted to clarify that they didn't come to us as a concern from the historical commission.
Okay.
Yes, very true.
I understand the concern, but I recognize the response. It makes perfect sense.
I do as
You
well.
can't just change one element, style of one element, not the rest of it.
Plus, if you start making those things too detailed, they get thicker, and it's going to thwart the bringing in of the light as well.
Yeah, and where it looks great at the State House building,
It's not gonna look great in the
hanging
center of
off that little,
Foxboro.
right underneath the gable end, it's beautiful. It really would not be in keeping
Not
with
at
this particular application, so.
I agree.
I agree with Gary that, to go and change that element now doesn't make sense.
No.
Anybody else?
I agree, we worked closely and vigorously with Mr. Lynch and his architect to get what we felt was a happy medium for the building, and general consensus of the town is in favor. And I really don't think we should try to, impose any additional changes at this point.
I would like to just bring something up. I haven't, and as Paige had said, we did get this text a little bit late in the game, so I actually haven't had a chance to work all the way through it. But I did work through about half, and if we could just take a look at page 7, and this is nothing in keeping with
Of the
changing.
draft?
Of the draft.
Yep, nothing in changing anything of substance here, but if you look at item 3A under 7, and the only reason I thought, to work through the whole thing is because I'm sure this same issue comes up multiple times. And down in the 4th line where it says the intent of the building design was to be sympathetic to a historic vernacular, and then we go on to talk a lot about the historic nature of this area, presumably the district itself. And I just want to be careful about that, because I'm a little, maybe I'm a little anal about it, but I don't want to be reinforcing the narrative that we live in a historic district up here in the center of town.
I think that's a very good point.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with you as well.
And so I would suggest, just for, I don't know what you want to do, I don't know if you want to give a tentative approval or a provisional approval based on working through this document for those types of changes, or whether you want to wait on it. I have a change for that, but I will say I've only gotten through about 12, 13 pages of it. Or whatever you think is best.
I think, Jeff, also, it starts to set a standard for later projects.
Well, I agree, and I think that some of this verbiage also kind of was creeping into the fire station whole thing, and, we were still kind of new at that point, but it was something that concerned me.
And Jeff, I came at it a little bit differently than you did. As I read it, if you get to like the last line of 3A,
Yep.
and in that respect is in general harmonious with such structures, not to be totally specific, to leave us a little wiggle room, so to speak, probably a poor term, but to also infer that we really thought this over, and we paid attention, and made some changes along the way.
Would it be sufficient just to take out that sentence?
Well, let me just, what I had said, Gary, is I was going to say, propose the intent of building design was to be sympathetic to a variety of historic and period architecture represented throughout the district. And I mean, I can go overboard with this and, rewrite everything, the whole decision, but I'm not suggesting that, but it just, and you're so right, John, because this is like setting, precedent for future stuff. And if you remember, one of the issues when we were talking about the fire station in particular, the second building, the apartment building, was that, this is so out of context with, what we have here in the center of town. Well, what we have here in the center of town is a mishmash of different periods, different architecture, different, just everything, materials, everything. So,
Right, and in a certain sense, that's what makes some people really like the downtown, because it's not a subdivision where there's rules and regulations about siding and colors and roof material, et cetera. Gentleman A built a house next to Lady B, and that was the style they each interpreted and liked, and they're nothing at all the same. They're very individual.
right. And Joe, believe me, I hope you don't take this the wrong way.
I'm fine, I'm listening.
Yeah.
I mean, if it takes a little bit of wordsmithing that gets us into a better position, it doesn't harm the project the way it's designed, then we should probably go for it.
Well, I think the last sentence pretty much sums up the attempt of the board. So I think, that being said, I think you could probably just remove that sentence altogether.
Whatever you think is good.
That's my opinion on it.
Well, and if I may, like up on the, let's see, 6th line or whatever, where it says, after changes to the aesthetic, the board finds this very visible project will maintain the character of Uptown.
I like that.
The idea is not to duplicate, blah, blah, blah. And then if we just, after the word colonial, took out historic and then added the in general, that almost like loosens that all up. But
Right.
again, that's,
I think
I don't
that
think
historical
that-
should come out of there in a few spots.
yeah, if we take that out and just use, instead of historic, we sort of use the word character. And I mean, I don't know if it applies everywhere, but we could look at, but again, I also am concerned because I know Jeff does a great job reviewing it, and so he hasn't had full time to review it. I don't know if we can do it as we go through it, but, or if you'd rather wait. I don't know how you.
It
the
would
best-
take me a while to go through this,
Yeah.
if you even want to go there, and if not, that's fine too.
I mean, I'm okay with it. I don't know how Mr. Lynch feels.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a contractor ready to tear down the buildings right now, so,
And the next meeting's August 13th.
yeah, no, I mean, it's better.
I would just say, I think in
It's better to get the
principle,
language that everybody feels good about.
in principle, you have
Yeah,
an approval.
I'm
here,
not
you know.
concerned with that. I think it's, part of it would be, and I don't know all the procedures, but if you can, I don't know, if you close the hearing and then you review things
Sure.
from the board standpoint, and
Yep.
then you do a final decision.
Yep.
I'm not sure how that works.
I certainly think you could close the hearing. I mean, we have nobody here, and we haven't received any new,
We're not taking testimony.
well, we could, but we really don't have anybody,
Yeah,
you know,
but
and
we're
there's
not-
really
we-
been very little, nobody's contacted us about the project in a while. So
We could close
we
it.
could close it and then just work on the
this.
decision and then for the next meeting.
There's
Yeah.
one, I found a couple of points too, Jeff, where I felt, that I used a slang expression, where some wordsmithing
Yeah.
may help all parties.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
From my
but there was-
standpoint.
but there was one thing that I don't recall how much conversation we had about, Joe, and that was the tandem spaces. And in the decision, we used a term
What page is that on, John?
on page 2,
Yeah, it's right up top.
about in the middle of the second paragraph. And you
Yep.
make a statement, we anticipate, 20 of the spaces are tandem spaces that we anticipate will be assigned to the two-bedroom residential units in the facility. Did we ever have a discussion about should 75% of the two-unit apartments be dedicated to these and the other 25% be available to the public or the other members of the party, or the other members of the building? Or we just leave it and first come, first serve, whoever gets into those tandem spaces, so be it.
Well,
But if it doesn't-
But, no,
Yeah,
there
I
are
don't-
plenty of spaces for everybody who lives there. The tandems, I believe, are set up because it would be inconvenient, you know, you would be blocking someone in. So all the single apartments have their own parking space. It's just the tandems are the ones they're gonna have to share, because they live in the same household and presumably they would share keys and whatnot.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I don't think that's something we want to get into regulating.
No.
Or putting something in about that.
I mean, do you see these as assigned spaces or just basically, you know?
It's sort of, it's a management type thing.
Yeah.
Originally, I just looked at it and said, okay, in order to get this project, I need to work with a tandem. I had talked to somebody about it, and they said, yeah, we work with that on a different project. And it made sense that the two bedrooms would be the ones that have to figure that out between
Job a
them.
bit, yeah.
And it would be very difficult for two separate units to
Coordinate
share
that.
one. Yeah. So whether it's the 75% or whether they're dedicated, I think, I think I'd like the flexibility,
Yeah.
if,
No. No,
possible, because I don't really know how it would all play out. There might be one car in a two-bedroom, which, would be good to,
Yeah, I
open
think
up
that
some
falls
of
to
those
the
other
management
spaces, so.
company.
No, there's,
I think that
when
falls
the
to
engineer in me says, all your designs should be flexible. You
And
need
I think
flexibility.
75 is probably a good number.
Yeah,
but-
but I just wanted to just jump back into that to get an idea as to how people felt. And
And I don't, from my perspective, I don't think I dove deep into how it was going to
Yeah.
work, other than, okay, this makes most
at
sense.
some point in time in the future, Joe, with the right people there, you may say, okay, everybody who's in a 2-unit, or reserve, make a deal with them that they each, unit number 1 gets these tandems, et cetera, which is,
And here's how you have to manage it between.
instead of us getting into the,
Roommates.
no, we're not really getting into the middle of it. It smacks a little bit of it.
Yeah.
And you're the guy that's going to run the operations, or your land management company.
Someone that I hire.
So I'm trying to clarify, John, what is it, is there something that you're concerned that the decision implies that they're tied to that? Is it, I mean, what is it you're
No,
trying to achieve?
there's no tying the applicant to this when we say we anticipate those 2-bedroom units.
Right,
The word anticipate leaves it open, so.
right.
And-
And I have to be honest, I cut and paste that from the application, so the we, them was them we, and now it's us
and
we,
I
so
just-
maybe we want to tweak that,
I
you know?
Tandems sometimes work very well, and then you bump into a client where you brought in tandems, and the guy says to you, "It's the worst thing you ever did for me was set up those tandems. I'm always in arguments about them." But there's 2 sides to every story. But, if, we certainly don't want to get into the middle of it in any
No, I think it's
regulatory
really going to be
fashion.
up to Joe and his management.
Yeah, Joe and his management. But I just wanted to open that up as a question.
So I think that's an important distinction, because I think in, 10 years from now or 20 years from now, there is a possibility that someone would read that sentence and say, it's supposed to be that, it doesn't stipulate, so we might just want to be clear that we're not regulating that at some point, when we go back and look at it, that basically we say, that's an internal, management concern, it's not, as long as every apartment has the zoning compliant spaces, how they're arranged, it's really not, the board doesn't care. Maybe we want to say that in there so that there's no trouble 10 years from now when we're all gone.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah, in
Very
a different
specific.
application where you just had to have, 2 spaces for every unit, let's say, no, we never say, well, okay, the people in the front of the building get the spaces over here, and the people in the back of the building get it over there. So just as long as they can provide them.
As long as they meet zoning requirements, we're fine.
so is our plan to take some time to dig into this?
I mean, I'm certainly open to that.
Before we go further on, away from parking, I did have one point I needed some clarification on. So for the on-street spaces, and, it's kind of that unusual, the way they're structured and set up, are those spaces on public property, or are those on your property? Will they be, the way it's designed?
I think that they're going to be on public, and I am planning, or part of the plan is to provide an easement of that land so that they are public spaces.
They're going to be on private, you mean?
No, they're public spaces.
But they're
not
on
gonna be-
private land? You're giving an
A
easement.
portion of them, they may be, I don't have the plans.
And then I'll convey them via an
But I
easement.
think there's an easement associated with it. If there was any need for the space to be on my land, then there would be an easement.
I think it'd be more the sidewalk than the
Yeah,
space
exactly. The
itself. I think
sidewalk, I
space
think,
itself falls into
is
town
on our
land.
property. I don't think that the spaces are on the property.
Okay.
But whatever's necessary to make that happen. They are public, and they'll be shared public.
And just to clarify, the parking being provided on-site is for the, is compliant. Well, I just want to make it clear that his required parking is not being put on the right-of-way. Even though it's, so to be clear, he's able to provide full parking on his site, and these 11 spaces on-street are sort of supplemental uptown parking for everybody.
Right.
And any sort of easement needed will be granted. So I just want to clarify that they are still providing their required parking on
Okay.
their property.
I do
thought-
have one concern on parking, I brought up today with Paige, and that is during construction, that the common is not used by contractors,
Good point.
that all contractor parking should be on site.
Okay, it could be difficult. All
Or
depends on-
somewhere, I mean, we've talked like for the other projects where, sometimes you might have to get a remote site or somewhere nearby, yeah, you might have to
Satellite
figure
parking.
something
No,
out.
I understand. It's tight, so
Yeah,
the
and
town's
we
tight.
don't
so-
have, we have 500-plus sites uptown, but I think if we start putting 15, 20 construction vehicles up there, it could impede parking for the other businesses, so that was my concern.
No, it's a valid concern.
Very.
I can rent them from the Bank of America, because
Nobody's going to the.
Nobody's
Nobody works,
there.
nobody's up there. Sorry.
Make sure those are electric vehicles, because they're gonna put.
Right, right. Oh, that's right. I remember reading that, yeah.
No, I thought the decision was well-written, and because I can't help myself, I just felt a little wordsmithing was in order, that's all.
No,
No,
really?
I really, shame on me.
Sorry. Well, we
Okay.
didn't, do we want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
I think,
I'm fine with it,
yeah.
Okay, make a motion to close the public hearing as it relates to the construction of a mixed-use project, retail, commercial, and residential units, 6-8 Centennial Street, 31-35 South Street, and 37-39 South Street, Winterton Corporation.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And we'll,
Motion to
Review-
approve contingent upon revisions.
you want to do that, or you want to just work on the thing in the meantime and then do the final
Vote.
vote at the next meeting?
Yeah.
All right.
Paige, maybe what we, you and I, and Jeff, and Jeff has an
You can
interest
trust
in
me, Joe.
wordsmithing. I have some.
You can trust me.
We
You guys just want to give me your comments and then?
Let's sit down together for 10 minutes and go over them. I just circled some stuff without.
Does the Bethany
Offering
need
them-
income from construction vehicles?
That's fine, whatever works, I'm fine
Yeah,
with that.
you and I and Jeff get together.
I'm not in on Monday.
Well, we'll just see about that.
But that's the only time Jeff can meet.
Yeah,
Oh, well, you guys go on without me. I'll give you a file.
Okay,
I think we're good.
Well, that helped our overrun.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Take
you.
care.
thank
Yep,
you.
bye now.
Sometime past 7:45 PM, we have a continued public hearing, site plan review, 85 East Belcher Road. Advanced Engineering Group PC on behalf of Media One of Ohio has requested a continuance to January of 2021.
Do they have to refile?
They have submitted a request to withdraw without prejudice.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
Received a letter today, so, yes.
I was gonna say they're gonna run out of time anyway.
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
If you would vote to accept that withdrawal, I would appreciate it.
Make a motion to accept the withdrawal of the application for site plan review at 85 Belcher Road, Advanced Engineering Group PC on behalf of Media One of Ohio without prejudice.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wow.
That's amazing.
7:50 PM, almost exactly, a little bit after.
You're good.
Site plan review, change of use,
Jenny.
proposed dance studio, 14 Purry Drive,
And I have called,
Unit B,
And, well, no, I already said hi to him.
gonna be really late.
TV Property LLC.
Yeah, so much for getting dinner.
I left you a message apologizing, saying that you're probably gonna be like really late, you're here. I know.
Yeah, thank
You
you.
made me a liar.
Yeah, I was almost gonna Zoom it, but.
Oh, jeez.
Good evening.
ready to
Hi,
go?
Jen.
So I'm Jeff Lovely, I'm representing Thomas Vazicek with this site plan review. Also here is Jenny Capola, she's the seller of the unit. They're here just to answer any questions that you might have.
It's a photocopy.
Oh, is it?
This is a change of use. This is one of the commercial condominiums.
Making me nervous.
What's that?
You have to sit talking to the mic so they can hear you.
Yeah.
It's a change of use for one of the commercial condominiums up on Route 1. This property actually abuts Walpole. It's a 2,400 square foot unit with a 600 square foot mezzanine. Currently, it's really just used for storage, but it's been used as a machine shop and things like that. Both uses, its existing use and its proposed use, are allowed of right in the general industrial zone. But a change of use, when I discussed this with Bill Casbara, we talked about which use this falls in, and he indicated that we needed to come in for site plan. So we're doing this sort of as an informal site plan because there are literally no changes outside on the grounds and building. Mr. Vazicek is going to do extensive renovations because he's going to turn this very sort of a space building type of thing, partially finished, into a finished dance studio with a nice ballroom floor and a mezzanine with glass, railings on it. It's going to be a really nice spot. He presently is in Norwood. And he explained to me that his current space has literally has a lolly column in the middle of the dance floor, so I know that that's got to be inconvenient, and I would really run right into it. So my assumption is one of the issues that you guys would look at is parking. I believe that there is sufficient parking there. You know, I put in the papers that I think this fits into sort of the indoor recreational use, which is the same as small retail, one space per 175 square feet. And there's actually plenty of parking there, both in the lot and in the vicinity as well. Mr. Vazicek's operation is more of a high-end studio and ballroom dancing facility rather than, you know, the classic 42 two-year-olds in tutus bumping each other off the stage. When he has recitals, which he calls showcases, he actually will hold that at like a country club or something. He wouldn't try to hold a recital on this site, just wouldn't have the parking or the space. So, you know, I'm happy to answer any questions. Ginny and Mr. Vazicek can answer any questions, but, you know, I think that probably the next step, if you are okay with this as a board, Thomas is going to find out if the building inspector is going to require a rear exit, which I assume he will. The space right now is on grade. It's accessible. He's adding an accessible bathroom. He's renovating the existing bathroom. He's building male and female changing areas. So it's gonna be nice.
What's the name of the dance studio in Norwood?
Savaria Dance Studio. The property's gonna be owned by an LLC that they created. Savaria will lease it from the LLC, but, you know, Savaria will run it, and the LLC is just a holding company for the real estate.
What's the lighting like? Because obviously using it for storage versus having people come in and out of it.
Oh, exterior lighting? Thomas, what's the exterior lighting out there?
I don't know if they're better. I think there's on a building lighting.
There is.
Okay. So he can supplement the lighting on the front of the building as needed. You know, he'll be talking with the building inspector. I think possibly the only exterior work that he would have to do other than, you know, he's planning, I put pictures in your package.
Yeah.
He's gonna replace the existing garage door with a glass front garage door. And the picture in there is just a specimen of that type of look. But then when he puts his rear exit in, there's some topography change in the back. So he's gonna have to build stairs down. And then as he wraps around the building, I'm assuming that the building inspector would have him build something to get back up to grade, so.
Right, and with proper lighting.
Right.
I did go up and kind of check things out. Are all the other units all occupied?
So I was talking with Ginny. A is a big
Right.
one on the
I
left.
saw that,
I
yeah.
think that's a construction company.
Correct.
B is the one we're talking
Right.
about. C is actually still storage for Mike and Larry Capola. And D, I believe, is probably going to be on the market at some point.
Okay.
It's on the market
They
now.
actually signed preliminary, he accepted the deal with it.
Oh, okay. And but is he still using it actively?
His company is out of there, he sold his company, he just bought it and moved everything to Mindship, away here. So I think that unit is taken.
So for the foreseeable future, there would really be two other operational units. Right now, there's really only one.
Right.
And to me, there seemed to be plenty of parking on site. I know you had made, I think, a comment in your letter, cover letter, that, you know, as overflow, people could park in the cul-de-sac. I wasn't sure that was too practical, but.
Well, I know what you mean, but when you look at Google Earth pictures or drive down there, there is a cul-de-sac that people do park in further down the street. I know this
Right.
is really technically a fire department. I think you could, the street is wide enough that you could park.
You
on the
probably
street.
could.
We don't foresee the need for that.
I wouldn't think so.
Because of his business model, he has some group classes, but they're not large.
When I was there, I think there were 2 vehicles
Right.
in that whole lot.
And also it works well with sort of like a construction or industrial use, because his stuff is a lot of evenings and later in the day.
Right.
Ask that, yeah.
So there's a little bit less overlap on the parking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a question about the parking. I'm fine with the parking. The lighting, I think, like Jesse mentioned, is definitely an issue that we should address. I don't think there's sufficient lighting for that parking lot for that use.
That, no objection at all if you put a condition in that we, make the building inspector happy with whatever exterior lighting he would like.
Yeah, but
It's
that's
good.
usually our requirement, part of site plan review, for us to decide what's proper or not the building inspector. So I don't know how we can do that.
Paige?
Sorry, I'm multitasking over here.
No, it's okay. How
No, I
can
was
we-
listening about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was it though?
How can we make the lighting?
Oh, yeah, right. I was actually half listening. Well, I guess I'm not overly worried about it. This is in the middle of an industrial park. I mean, it's truly, but we have our standard condition. And if you guys commit to doing that, I think that would be sufficient. But again, there really is nobody around there. It is on the Walpole border in the middle of
I'm
an
just worried
industrial
about
park.
students coming out at night.
Oh, you don't think it's gonna be enough?
Yes.
Oh, I thought
I'm
you were
not-
worried about life off.
No,
I'm so used to
no,
doing too
no,
much
I'm not,
lighting.
I'm not worried about spillage or anything.
Oh, right,
No, because across the street's pretty industrial, and they're probably not working at night.
Right.
you know.
right. Yeah.
How do we make sure that?
Well, we just tell them to do it. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I would say we can
I think-
indicate we'd like to see additional lighting.
yeah, I think you could
A normal
absolutely.
clause that we have reserved the right.
As you're
to
doing a
review.
waiver, if you say the board has agreed that this change of use does not require site plan, however, we would request that, additional lighting be provided.
To ensure the safety.
To ensure safety of patrons. And I would think, like, from your perspective, you've always said, Tracy, from an insurance perspective, I would think that might be a factor, that they would have to do that anyway, or no? Does it get to that granular level?
Yeah,
Do you think your contractor could come up with a sketch in terms of additional?
Like, our business is mostly, we're not kids at all, we're just adults.
Right.
Right.
And our business, our appointment pretty much only. So it's usually, if we teach couples or single ladies usually, or gentlemen. and gentlemen usually don't want to come, to be honest.
I wonder why.
But we are appointment only, so there is not many people coming in and out. So if it's like after 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., there's usually 1 or 2 clients in the studio.
Okay. Well, we still want to have proper lighting
Yes.
for the 1 or 2 that are in there.
I think
So
you just make that as a condition.
I would just want to make that as a condition.
No objection?
And we reserve the right to review it after a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, we have a standard condition. We'll probably just use that language at the
Yeah.
planning board.
And then just the safe,
Yeah.
people being able to safely get from the back door around to the front.
Yeah, okay.
I have no other issues with it
We need
myself.
a-
No, I'm fine.
John, anything?
No, thank
We need.
So I will entertain a motion to,
Kev, before you do,
yes,
so could we just clarify again, more precisely, the nature of what we're doing here?
waiving a site plan.
That's a,
We're waiving a site
well,
plan and allowing
here's,
for a change
here's
of use.
really what happened. I talked to Bill Casbara about this, and he was Nick Riccio, when he was the building inspector, was okay with calling this a waiver. Based on my discussion, and I haven't even met the new building inspector yet. So, based on my discussion with Bill, he said, come in for an actual site plan, but conducted informally, because as he read the zoning bylaw,
It wasn't needed.
there are only certain things that you can waive, which I think is an addition under 1,000 square feet. So we're requesting a site plan approval.
Without a site plan.
Is this a formal site plan application?
Right.
Yes.
Or is this just an exploratory?
I think
No, it's a site
probably-
plan review.
Yeah. So,
How,
We
let
didn't-
me just ask, just let me interrupt you for a second, Mr. Lovely. How is this any different than what we did
Right.
at the corner of Central Street an hour ago?
It probably isn't, and the thing is, we didn't talk to Bill Caspara to get that nuance. So we'll probably just have to make sure we write it, again, we have the new gentleman.
right.
So it's all sort of nuances. We can write it in a way, but to Jeff's point, he did apply for site plan review. So certainly, and that is different from what 50
That's-
Central
that's
Street.
fine.
That said, we instructed 50 Central Street to not do site plan just because
Right.
it's, I mean, how much of a fee was paid? I mean, there's probably a fee and everything for this as well.
So are we, so,
We did Sam, the restaurant, that, a few months ago, that was a waiver.
Correct.
I think Gabby made me pay the fee.
Probably.
That's just because it was you.
But what Gabby did find was, we actually have a site plan from back in the day when they were doing this. So we do have a site plan. Now, the on-ground conditions are a little bit different, but I just, I think it would be unfortunate to have Mr. Vazicek have to hire Bay Colony or somebody
I
just to
agree.
recreate.
No, I agree.
No, I agree too. I
But
just
we
wanted to
do
make
have it.
sure what we're
Gabby
doing.
gave it to me.
so really what we're voting is not a waiver, it's to approve this site plan review with the conditions that we outlined.
Right, and I think the way we'd do it then, now that hearing all this through, is we basically acknowledge the prior site plan and then say we're allowing a change of use, and that no site plan, submission of new, because there's no material change outside, there's no need for a new site plan submission, however the board went through X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Something like that.
That could
So we'll
be-
make it a little more formal.
The intent of the bylaw might be read to permit waiver, but the language really doesn't. And when Bill came back for that period, he was pretty conservative and
Well, no, and the reason I got confused here too is because these documents are dated July 7th and one says request for waiver. So-
Right, and I didn't edit that, I noticed that today,
Okay.
yeah. The other thing I screwed up in there is that it's not on sewer, it's on septic, and Ginny is in the process of doing a Title V, which was one of our comments from Pauline, so.
We'll let you say this one, and then I'll say so moved.
Okay. So, how did you phrase that?
So the planning board grants site plan review for a previously approved site plan to allow a change of use. Something like that,
With conditions.
with conditions.
So,
And that, and the finding is that a full site plan
not.
engineered drawing is not required because it's already on record and there's no material changes exterior.
Okay, so moved.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good night, sir.
Welcome. Thank you.
And if you ever see me come in for a dance lesson, run in the other direction. Grace is not my middle name.
Surcharge?
I can tell you that I was given dance lessons as a birthday present 3 years ago, and I was so thrilled. Have I had said lesson? No, because it's supposed to be couples dancing.
He would need extra insurance, Jeff, if
So
I
I got
went
the
there.
present, but I didn't get the dancing, if that makes sense.
Did it for 2 years.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Good luck.
Everybody in September in the studio.
Best of luck. Jenny, great seeing you.
My wife and I did the Fred Astaire and all in a couple of years, yeah.
I want to.
So it being slightly past 8 PM, we have a public hearing, site plan review, installation of 4 electric vehicle charging stations, 16 School Street, Electrify America LLC.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. You're back.
Hi, my name. Hi, I'm Marissa Gideon with Kimley Horn. I'm covering for Lauren Sweeney, who came to the previous meeting. I believe that we submitted and responded to all of the comments from the previous meeting. We submitted acoustic specs. We submitted UL specifications for the waterproofing of the equipment. We submitted information regarding the setbacks and parking count. And we also added a site light with a shield to protect the adjacent property. I'm here to answer any questions or if there are any additional questions from our submittal.
Kevin, since I brought up a lot of those issues,
Would you like the file?
I came down to the town hall earlier this week and
Into
sat
your
down.
microphone, John.
No, packet.
I came down to the planning board office earlier this week as I was the person who brought up several of these points and looked at the new data that was submitted, and I found it to be sufficient. The decibel information wasn't an actual study or any comparisons to ambient or anything like that, but it did give the expected levels. And having worked on many projects where you have this sort of electrical equipment, it's not a big noisemaker. And I don't see any issues with the information that you provided from my perspective. My colleagues may have some thoughts and may want to delve into some of these points a little bit further, but I felt the data that you submitted was sufficient to go forward.
Thank you.
Anything from you, Paige? Gab? Anyone else?
The building commissioner that reviewed the plans, because there was a question about the zoning, whether it met the side yard setbacks, and about the parking counts, and he was satisfied with that it met all the zoning requirements as it was.
Is there any concerns from any town department?
None.
We have nothing in our packet for this, correct? Do you have any notes as to what our issues were the last time we discussed this?
I believe that they're there. I did review them with Marissa earlier today, and what she outlined, it is what the concerns of the board were. There was concerns about lighting, there was concerns about the decibel levels, there was concern about the setbacks, there was concern about waterproofing the equipment, and the number of parking spaces that were being removed, whether or not it met the zoning requirements, which it does. Right, currently, they provide more than sufficient parking spaces. And as it is, with the removal of some of the spaces, they still have more than sufficient
And then, of course, my favorite topic. Didn't we talk about lighting?
Yes.
And it was
Yes,
sufficient?
she had mentioned
Okay, I'm
that.
sorry.
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry.
But how was the lighting addressed? I haven't seen a response or how it has been addressed.
There is a plan in the folder. They have added,
This one?
yes.
Pass that to the guy.
Of course. How many plugging stations are there going to be again?
4.
There'll be four charging stations, and we have added a pedestrian light pole on the site plan. The details for that light pole are on D3. I'm not sure if you have the full set of plans or just the overall site plan.
No, it just got passed
Yeah,
around.
they have the site plan.
Page 3.
Okay.
she said. And where is this going in relation to the business? Bank of America right behind it?
No, well, it'll
No.
be tucked up against the property line. Over,
If I'm facing B of A, which way?
if you're facing it from Market Street to the left side.
Behind it.
There's existing parking spaces there, some of which will be
That
removed.
are never used anyway. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Behind the red building.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
They will be reducing the impervious because they're removing some of the asphalt in that area too.
Where the pad is, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah, see the lighting was addressed.
Do you want me to
Any further discussion?
make a motion
Close the public
to
hearing?
close the public hearing on the installation of 4 electric vehicle charging stations at 16 School Street, Electrify America LLC?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye. You ready?
Yep.
Make a motion to approve the site plan for the installation of 4 electric vehicle charging stations, 16 School Street, Electrify America LLC,
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
with standard conditions.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Have a good night.
Good
Good
evening.
night.
All right. And, gosh, we're almost perfectly on time. 8:15 PM, we have a special permit, accessory apartment, 298 Central Street from Wissam Sam Route.
sure you're speaking to the microphone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you speaking to me?
Oh, him.
Oh, gentlemen, yes, sir.
Hey,
How are you?
good.
Very good.
Did
So
you,
tell us a little bit about your request.
So, this plan was originally, I was gonna do it when I was building the house originally in 2016. But we ended up buying the neighbor's house. You know, we ended up doing that,
The
then.
one on the right behind the fence.
Yeah. So, my sister eventually moved there, then my dad was gonna now he's basically giving her the house, and my parents are kinda getting old, so, you know, and she wants her privacy, so the best thing is just doing an in-law. It's straightforward. That's the reason why we eliminated the fourth bedroom on the original plans, just so we had the option to do the in-law in the future. Same plans, nothing changed. They said it would be fine even then, while we were building the house.
oh, you're the house with the fence with the lights on the top?
Yeah. I'm, you know, that's all I'm doing, is just adding the fourth bedroom, in-law. You know, the access is gonna be in the study room, and there's gonna be a front door and a back patio in that area. So it's pretty much straightforward. And there's a lot of setbacks, so there's a lot of room to do a lot in that area. The lot's pretty big on the plot plan.
So the office is not there right now?
The office there, the study room is there. It's a playroom, whatever you want to call it.
So all that's being added is the back right?
Yeah, so all that's gonna be added on the plan is right here. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the house here, right now. So that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's less than 850 square foot. Everything's by code.
So is that a separate, there's a little door there underneath the portico? Is that a door?
Right here?
On the
Right
second,
there.
second page.
Right there? Oh, yeah, that's the front door.
Okay.
Yeah. Then you have to have access to the study room. You have to have at least so it's not separate.
Right.
We have a big family, so I'm not doing anything except, my parents are gonna be in there.
There's this trend in this town, and I keep telling my parents, just don't hold your breath.
I'm sorry, what?
There's a trend in the town for, moving parents into homes, and I keep telling Pam and Paul, don't hold your breath.
It's better, I mean, I think.
Yeah.
They'll pay
Good
half
man.
the bills.
Questions or any comments on design or?
Septic system's fine.
Yeah, there was a question on the number of bedrooms in the house because there was a change during the construction. And so Tom Wren from the building department did a site visit, and he confirmed that currently there are 3 bedrooms in the house. The septic system is designed for 4 bedrooms. So that was very important to make that clarification.
Okay.
Okay.
I like the look of the addition, too.
Yes, so do I.
I mean, I guess it'll bring the value up. I mean, I think it's gonna overpower.
I don't know, I
the
think
street.
you're dominating the whole side of the street.
I know,
David.
But you can't see you because of your fence.
I know. I like the privacy a little because the main road, because the kids.
Oh, I completely
You
get
know,
it. I'm just.
when I first moved in there, the first thing I did is, what broke doing that fence. Because of the kids and stuff. They were at the time 4 and 5.
Yeah.
So.
No, I
and
think
the
it looks
dog,
great.
Yeah. I mean, it is gonna overpower the street. I think. Hopefully, they'll
No,
soon
it's
be
behind the
built.
fence too, though, so it's
Fine.
not,
Your property.
Yeah, I know.
Within.
I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, so that's why I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it. So,
So it seems to meet all the requirements of in-law apartment.
yeah, we did all this like in 2017 when we were doing while we were building, we were asking, I think Bill at the time.
Bill Kaspar.
So he's the one, told us 850 square foot. That's why we designed it and all that, so. kinda-
Paige and Gabby, it meets all requirements.
Yes.
Okay.
No problem.
Not me.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Uh,
Second?
Any comments from the public?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Sorry.
I didn't realize you were here in attendance for this, so please.
You need to come up to the microphone, please.
My favorite neighbor, Larry.
Larry Merrigan, 304 Central Street. I am a neighbor of Samrock family. I think it's a very good idea what he's doing. I think it's going to help the whole family, especially his dad, Willard, and his mother, Neda. And I know Sam will do a quality job, so I have no objections to this.
That's very nice that you
That's
came up with
very
that.
nice.
Support, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that just brought tears to my eyes. Make a motion to, it's not a public hearing, it's just a special permit, correct?
It's a public hearing.
Oh,
Public hearings.
make a motion to close the public hearing related to accessory apartment at 298 Central Street.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion to grant the special permit for an accessory apartment at 298 Central Street
With standard conditions.
with standard conditions.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.
Congratulations.
Best of luck with it.
Thank you
It
so
was very
much.
nice of you to come, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well done, Kevin.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Now you're
And
showing off.
You the
want me to
man.
make a motion to adjourn?
Unless there's anything else from our esteemed staff, no? Feel free.
Second?
We're an hour ahead of time.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good work tonight.